Dead, where evil lurks in every shadow and monsters roam the streets. Mankind's only survival rests in the hands of two Welsh warriors. Armed with boomsticks, chainsaws, bad language, these beacons of hope will stop at nothing to obliterate deadites, vampires, psychotic nurses. So, hold tight, strap in, and let the professionals take charge. Otherwise, you're in for a rough, blood-soaked night.
Hey, all right. We're
What's
live
happening?
again. How's it going, Davey?
It's going great, guys. Thank you so much for having me on again. Yeah, I'm pumped to chat about these zombie films. It's one of my
Zombies, yeah.
favorite subgenre of horror. Like I think it's the subgenre that like really, as I became like a teenager, getting a little bit older, that's when I like fell in love with horror all over again.
Yeah.
You know? It was great.
I the reason I haven't watched like The Last of Us is because I was so fixated with The Walking Dead that I needed a break in case I got
Mm-hmm.
sick of zombies. Because everyone's telling me I got to watch it, but I'm going to wait like maybe another year and maybe
Yeah.
watch the first two seasons together. Have you seen it?
I've not watched The Last of Us, and I haven't even played the game. So, like, I get the general idea of, you
Yeah.
know, I can sort of just pick up, you know, zombie films in a sense all have the similar beats, you know,
Yeah.
for the most part. So when I see something like The Last of Us, I'm like, oh, it kind of reminds me of something like Resident Evil, you know, something like that.
Yeah, I know. Well, so today we're doing a tier list of zombies, and we're going to put them in order. We're not starting yet. Sorry, Kurt. I was just going to say.
No, I've been on mute this whole time.
Oh, you were.
Yeah.
And
Luckily,
I've been
luckily you've just been burping the whole time, so we just missed out. You know?
So we asked you, Davey, to give a top 10 of your favorite zombies, and they were basically identical to mine, like beat for beat.
And mine.
Yeah.
Everyone's got the same top 10 though. Come on.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
I'd have to put my money on everyone having the same top 10 favorite zombie movies.
Yeah,
a
at
few
least-
in there, a bit different, but
Yes, definitely.
The great ones really stand out, you know, and it's one of those subgenres where, yeah, there's a lot of schlock and all that kind of stuff. And it's not as, you know, there's so many slashers out there and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to zombies, it's like, you know, there's some people that are like, I don't like the fast moving zombies.
Yeah.
Or there's like to me, like the Evil Dead, like I think of it as demonic possession.
Yes.
They're kind of zombies
Yeah.
in a way, but it's not like your typical undead. Like these are people that are alive that are possessed with the evil, you know?
Yes.
So
100%.
there's all sorts of ways you can kind of split your hairs and debate all that kind of stuff. So I think my list is a pretty good mix though. And I'd imagine.
I totally agree with you, because when you look, say if you search on Google or even like on Netflix and you type in zombies, they'll throw up Evil Dead. And I'm like, oh, come on. It's not a zombie movie, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can say that they're zombie-like in the sense that they're not in control of what they're doing. But yeah, I think of it as more closer to like, it's almost like, you know, demonic possession without any like traditional religion. I guess it's more of like that kind of witchcraft, like ancient kind of religion, you know? So
yeah,
I
mean,
think
if Evil Dead is a zombie movie, The Exorcist is just as much.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Regan's a zombie.
My favorite genre is zombies, without a doubt.
Nice.
And I even argue, even though I saw on our list later, I even argue that 28 Days is not a zombie because they're not dead. You know?
Yeah,
Technically.
strict rules. Yeah. Technically not, and they even kind of make a point in the movie, right, to say that, to like make that point.
Yeah.
But I will say this about 28 Days Later. The first time I watched it, I was like, oh, so they're doing the Day of the Dead route here. Like they're gonna have like the bad military guys, you know?
Yes.
I'm like, okay, so there's plenty of influence that comes from like that zombie. That's what I think is cool about that movie. Even though I sort of like cooled down on it as time went on, like the more I watched it, the more I was like, this movie's fine. But when I first saw 28 Days Later, it was so exciting to see something that was
100%.
like mainstream, that sort of like brought it to the forefront. Somebody like, you know, Danny Boyle, who's, you know, gone on to do, I mean, he did great movies before, but gone on to do so much. So yeah, it's a good addition to the subgenre, even though technically it's not really a zombie.
Do you know, I find you know what I find as well? With zombies and like other sort of horror genres, even though zombie is sort of not highbrow, you still have to have a little bit of money for decent makeup. Whereas with a ghost movie, you can do a lot with nothing. And if
just don't show anything.
There you go. There you go.
You can, it's very like even the cheap, even like sub basic zombie movies with a little bit of money. If the makeup's not good, it's shit.
You can have
contacts.
Yeah, you can have the best script in the world and a massive budget. If those zombies don't look good, I'm not invested in that movie one bit.
Yeah,
I'd say that's the only good thing about Doghouse is that the zombies look good.
Doghouse.
And if you go back to even, let's go back to 1968's Night of the Living Dead. Like, I think for the most part, there's a couple applications that, were maybe needed to be reapplied. But I think for the most part, those zombies look really damn good. Maybe the black and white kind of helps you a little bit because you don't have to worry about color. And I think that's a benefit to the film as well. But man, if they could do it in 1968 on a George Romero production with all those people just came from working on commercials, then there's no excuse if you're putting out a zombie film. And after that, it should be great. You know?
And in Night of the Living Dead, you could argue they're quite fresh at that point. And as the budgets went up, the rot went up as well. So as time went on, by Day of the Dead, it was just the perfect timing for rotten zombies. Should we get on with the tea, yeah?
Well, should we read some comments first?
Yes.
Yeah, let's see what's up.
Yes, apologies. Oops, hang on.
Do you want me to do the comments, Jenks?
Jenks just wants to get straight to business, you know.
You can read the first few, then.
Hand pink waving. All right.
Okay, thanks for that. Hi, Dawn. Hello, guys. Hope you're doing well. Cheers, Dawn. Dawn was the one who picked our Hellraiser pick last week.
Nice.
Great video. Good fun on that. Thanks, Dawn.
Love that film. Yeah.
We got good evening, all. Good evening, Jill.
What's happening, Jill?
We've got Dawn again.
You
made it.
Ella.
Vicky Jenkins. Hi, everyone. I'm looking forward to another live chat from Twisted Locker. Cheers, Vicky. Do one each, is it?
My chunky Geordie. I always say, I don't know what it is. It's a 311 song called My Stony Baby, and I always sing Gina's screen name to that. So what's happening, Gina?
Hi, Gina.
I think she's across the pond as well.
Awesome. Don't forget to send the like button some love. Yes. Oh, cheers for that. Ella Star, you're a star. Excited to finally be live. Yes. Abigail. Hi, guys. Hi, Abigail. What's up, everyone? Ellie.
What's
cheers,
up,
Ellie.
Eli?
Sorry.
What's happening,
Ellie.
Eli?
Come on, Jenks.
Give me a break. Ellie, give me a break. Thanks.
Top 3, don't know, zombie films.
It's a lot of controversy about if zombie flesh eaters 2 even exists in it, because it's like, it's not a real film, is it? It's like...
Zombie Flesh Eaters, is that Lucio Fulci's Zombie?
Yes.
Or Zombie 2 or whatever. Yeah. So what, Zombie Flesh Eaters 2 would be Zombie 3, which maybe, I don't know. It's so confusing.
That is. There's Zombie Flesh Eaters 2, and then I think the sequel to that one is called Zombie Flesh Eaters 3.
Okay.
Yeah, because like at the end of the first one, the zombies take the city, but then it just goes very odd because it's Dawn of the Dead as well is Zombie 1.
Yeah, well, Zombie 1 is supposed to be a sequel to Dawn of the Dead, right?
Yes.
It's like the unofficial Italian sequel. So it's one of those weird things when it comes back over here to the States and, it has a different name,
Yes, very strange. I don't know what they do with some strange... They even did it with like Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone came like...
Oh my gosh.
As if Americans don't know what a philosopher is. I mean...
It's insulting, but maybe rightly so. I don't know.
I mean, I can't spell philosopher, but like, I know what it is.
And if you don't know what a philosopher is, you know what a sorcerer is. Like, I mean, whatever.
It's very, very strange.
Yeah.
Hi, Johnny. We got Wolfman's Got Nards. Barry from Wolfman's Got Nards, a friend of the channel.
Barry?
The power of zombie compels you. Yes. So if you watched us a few weeks ago on his channel, we did something very similar. We kind of stole it off him, if he doesn't mind. So he was like a canary on the mine, testing this out, and hopefully we got got rid of a few bugs, and we had so much fun, didn't we, Kurt?
Yeah, it was a great one.
Yeah, awesome. Evening all, awesome. Oh, some good comments.
I need to catch up on those found footage movies because there's so many I haven't seen. Like more than half of them that you guys were talking about. I've only seen the early found footage stuff and then like Diary of the Dead, and that's like pretty much it. Cloverfield, okay, so there's like 3 or 4 found footage movies I've seen, but never seen any Paranormal Activity or
Jesus.
Chronicle, which I know you're a huge fan of there, Jenks. So I got to do some catch up.
It's it's got to be my favorite subgenre of horror. Well, I'd say slasher and found footage has to be.
Okay.
Have you seen?
Eat them up.
Have you seen Chronicle? You said no. Yeah, it's on Disney Plus if you got it because it's Fox owned, so it's jumped on it. It's so incredible.
I gave up on Disney Plus because all the TV shows they were putting out were shit. So I was like, all right, see you later, Disney. You basically told me you don't want me to be a fan of your comic book movies or Star Wars. So I guess I'll just see myself to the door. Thanks.
Yes.
It's been fun.
Right then. Are we ready, guys?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Quick question, Davey, because you do a lot more lives than us. This perspective or this? Do you think it's a bit busy at the bottom with us there?
It might be. I think the one with us on the side's good. Yeah.
Yeah. The only reason I picked that is because this is a bit smaller now, but I think it's worth it because
still looks good.
So what we're going to be doing, we're going to go through. We've picked 10 zombie movies each. And we've got rid of all the doubles, and I've added a few more. We've got 21 to pick from, and we've got. I'll make it the screen big now. Just get this for a second. It didn't make no difference. Sorry, guys. So we got 4 categories, and the first one is the top category is. We're gonna. We're coming to get you, Bob. It's too small. I can't see. Sorry.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
The second one, send more paramedics. Choke on them. And you've got red on you. Do you know what that one is, Davey?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I love Shaun of the Dead. It's great shit.
Nice.
How dare you insult the man's intelligence?
No, all these are great films, okay? So these aren't like brilliant to shit, okay?
Yeah.
They're just in order of, so the top one is top tier, the bottom one is still pretty awesome. So even though the title, so the reason I put They're Coming to Get You, Barbara at the top is because George Romero is the godfather of zombies. And I thought it was fair. You and I both love Return of the Living Dead, so we put that second. Choking Them is another good one, a little bit lower. And the last one, even though Shaun of the Dead is awesome, it's the newest, it's the new boy, so I thought I'd put it last. Is that fair?
It's great.
Yeah, seems fair enough to me.
Yes. Okay.
I'd put Choking Them atop, but...
Well, shit. Okay, so the first pick we got is... 28 days later.
28 days later.
We mentioned it earlier. The thing is, they're in alphabetical order, so this is first on the list. This came out 2002. It's a zombie movie directed by Danny Boyle. It's pretty awesome. And where are we going to put it in our list then? What do you think? So we've got 4 choices. Top is Coming to Get You, Barbara. Send More Paramedics. Choking Them. And you got red on you. What do you reckon?
I think, going up against some of the other zombie movies on this list, for me personally, I've never connected with 28 Days Later that much. I love 28 Weeks Later, but the first one I never really connected with. I'd put it on the lowest tier personally.
Yeah. What about you, Davey? What do you think?
Yeah, I'd put it on You've Got Red on You. I think like the very first time I saw this in the theater, it was really exciting. You know, I loved seeing like that grainy digital film, had a really cool look. Even though it's not found footage, it felt like it was a camcorder at the time.
Yeah.
And I really dug that. Cillian Murphy's performance is great. I think the performance is Brendan Gleeson's in there too. Is that right? One of the first roles I ever saw him in. So I think the performances are great. I just think that as I returned to the movie a few times, it just didn't keep my attention the way it did at the very beginning. So it was exciting to see that zombie film come back to like, you know, mainstream sort of. But yeah, I think that up against these other juggernauts, I think it's fair to put it in You've Got Red on You.
Yes, I think I agree, guys. And it's an awesome movie, but yeah, I would say the same. Okay. Oops. There we go.
I love Ben Hardstyle Davies says, Kurt, you've changed your name to Jenks. Look at that. We got 2 Jenks.
Oh, well, why
Welcome
not?
to Jenks and Jenks. We're a
Imagine-
new law
oh.
firm.
Imagine 2 Jenks. Jesus Christ. Cannibal Terror. Hey, I haven't heard of that one. Have you seen that, Kurt?
I've got that on Blu-ray. What an awful film. I'm sure that Barry is messing about you. There's no way. That's trashy for me.
Yeah, because
And
you're
you love
trashy.
the trash.
Yeah, he out trashes Barry, and Barry is a self-proclaimed trash lover.
Yeah.
Cannibal Terror. I bought that when 88 Films released it on Blu-ray, and oh my god, it's worse than Street Trash.
Oh, jeez. Oh, no.
Can you change your name to Curtis manually?
Oh, I just tried now. I don't know.
Don't matter.
It chucked me straight in, see, because you were already in. I didn't invite you.
Don't matter.
I love it. I love
Anyway.
it.
Barry, you need to jump in the chat, pal, and tell me you're joking.
Yeah.
Right, next on the list, a lot of me there.
Yeah.
Next on the list,
Boom.
we got 28 Weeks Later. I would say this has got one of, if not the best opening scenes ever. It's when
Yes.
Robert Carlyle makes the decision to leave his wife alone and run in, leaves her, abandons her. Oh, these zombies are coming down the hill. It is awesome. It's a really good sequel. You seen this?
Yeah, it's a
Davey?
fantastic film.
Yeah. Yeah, good shit. Yeah, I think better than the first. Yeah.
I would say it's got a better opener, but I think overall, I prefer the first one. The only thing I don't like about the first one is the end, like where the soldiers. I feel like 28 days is not long enough for them to turn into like horrible monsters. You know, it's only been a month.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's sort of a social commentary just on like, that's what those kinds of, people in that sort of lifestyle may, revert to that a little quicker. I don't know, but yeah.
Well, they were doing it in Vietnam, Jenks, and that wasn't even the end of the world.
Yeah, but,
Do you know what I
but that
mean?
was years of long
was,
conflict.
yeah.
This is like a long holiday, 28 days.
Well, hey, in the thing, they lose their shit in like 48 hours. So
That's true,
maybe.
that's true. So I think personally, I think it should go at the bottom as well. It's a decent film. It's a strong sequel, but I still think it's no match on the other ones we got coming up. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I agree. I prefer it to the first one, but compared to the more traditional zombie movies, specifically zombie movies coming out of the 80s, I would have to put it on the bottom.
What about you, Davey? What do you think?
I think so. I think it belongs right there next to the first one as far as everything else I'm seeing here. I don't want to, I want to save some of the flowers for the ones that are really,
Hell yes.
really do it for me, really get me all tingly.
Right. Okay, that's fair. I think so. Not so bad. We're agreeing. Spot on. It's not going to stay. Obviously, it's going to be getting
No, that'll change soon. That'll change soon.
Because we had so many duplicates when we did this list, because we had our 10 each, I had to throw a few in. They're not necessarily my favourites, but they are decent talking points and slightly underrated. And I've stuck in Too Much of Me again. It's a software. It's not me. It's just it gives you options. Just press the same button.
Jenks and Jenks.
Army of the Dead came out 2021. Zack Snyder, and do you know what? There's loads of things wrong with this. It doesn't make a sense. There's robot zombies in it. There's all sorts of weird shit in it. But I've seen it 3 times. So
I've never seen this one.
Oh, really?
No? But I bet I can like tell you exactly what it's like. Okay. So there's a lot of slow motion. There's definitely slow motion shots of bullet casings falling to the ground.
Yeah.
It's way longer than it needs to be. But there's still things that are enjoyable enough about it. And everyone is like really hot, but maybe just about okay at acting.
And you forgot something. A lot of
The boys are genius.
out of focus shots as well.
And then great soundtrack, I imagine, because Snyder's great at doing that.
Yeah, and there's great slow motion grain falling onto fields, like in
There you go.
Rebel Moon.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Or touching grain like a Gladiator or something like that. Something like in 300.
It's a shame because we'll talk about it later, but he's really good at making zombie movies, but I think he's a bit too big at this point.
Yeah,
And,
do you know, I had loads of fun with this one. I don't rank it that high in terms of being a great movie, but similar to you, Jenks, I've watched this about 3 or 4 times just because it's so much fun. Like you said, it doesn't make a lick of sense, but Dave Bautista's great in it.
Yeah.
You've got a good cast of characters. He knows how to get a band of people together to do a job.
Yeah.
That's about the only thing he does great. And my biggest problem with this one is that there's so many scenes in there that should have been terrifying, or at least could have been terrifying.
Yeah.
And it just drops any sort of tension that could have been built.
Yeah.
I feel like it's hard to even call it a horror movie. It's more like an action movie with zombies in it.
With this one, the zombie makeup is obviously top notch, and they got a zombie Siberian tiger or a white tiger, whatever they call it, which looks really cool with all rotten sort of hair hanging off. But I don't know if you know much about. I know Dawn of the Dead. This Zack Snyder's one. This was going to be the sequel to it. I don't know if you know the history, but it was going to be
Back in the day,
and obviously it never happened. He went on to bigger things, and then this was kind of a recycled version of that sequel. Yeah, but
it seems like it's really fun, like kind of a tongue-in-cheek sort of, follow up to what he did with Dawn of the Dead, which still has funny moments, but I think has plenty of great tension as well.
I would recommend it, definitely. It's on Netflix, so it's quite long as well, but I enjoyed it. So you haven't seen it, so I suppose it's out to team me and Kurt. I think we're both going to chuck it at the bottom, are we?
Yes, definitely, 100%.
That's fair enough. Okay, next one up, we've got...
Oh, boy.
Oh, yes. It's too much
More
me.
Jenks.
Too much me. Nobody wants to see too much. Brain Dead or Dead Alive for you Yanks. I would say, not being biased, Brain Dead's a better title than Dead Alive.
I don't know why they changed the name. I don't know if it was because Brain Dead was already, like, the copyright was already purchased by, like, a small film I've never heard of.
Yes,
I have no idea.
Yeah, there is. There's a Bill Pullman movie called Brain Dead. I assume it's something to do with that because I used to get it mixed up when I was really young.
Yeah.
But it's got to be something to do with that.
Do you think it's to do with Americans just couldn't understand the word brain dead and they thought
it's like
dead
philosopher.
Alive? Yeah.
We're like, but to brain dead to understand what brain dead is. I think Dead Alive has like a fun little ring to it because it does, Brain Dead and the way they use the font here, you can sort of see a little bit of the humor, but I think there is something humorous about a movie that's called Dead Alive. Because the two things are completely contrast, so there's something funny about it. And this movie is absolutely hilarious. One of the funniest movies, period, that I've ever seen in my life. And the ingenuity that Peter Jackson showed at the beginning of his career is exactly why he was able to achieve everything he achieved when he found mainstream success.
100%.
Because he still goes to those old school methods, being inspired by somebody like Sam Raimi and what they did with the Evil Dead is you can see that come through his work. It's really charming. And for me, Brain Dead is absolutely the top. It's my second favorite zombie film of all time. I love this movie to death.
Well, funnily enough, I watched a film today called The Substance in the cinema with Demi Moore. You might have heard of it. And I described, Curtis hadn't seen it, I described it as Death Becomes meets Brain Dead meets The Fly. Full on blood, guts, body horror.
Nice.
And the sort of beauty sort of aspect of Death Becomes the search for eternal beauty, highly recommend it. But it reminded me a little bit of Brain Dead, some of the scenes in it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so definitely worth
there's no denying this is one of my favourite movies of all time. I just want to give a proper shout out to little baby Selwyn because now's the perfect time to do it. Look at that.
Hyperactive.
And although I do prefer the title Brain Dead, I do have the Dead Alive poster because I much prefer that art to the British art. You just can't get better than that photo of the woman because it's got nothing to do with the film. It's so unrelatable, but I love it. It's kind of like the Evil Dead 2 poster.
Exactly.
It's unrelated to the movie, but it's just a great image that they couldn't pass down, But Brain Dead is one of the ultimate horror movies. I go back to this movie about 10 times a year. I crave it all the time. And everything you said, Davey, was spot on. Peter Jackson knocked this one out of the park. You can see the inspirations from Sam Raimi and Evil Dead. And I just don't think anyone has done gore quite as good as this film. And quite as disgusting. The dinner table scene.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the dinner table scene with the zombies. It's no pudding.
Yeah.
It's that one. Somehow that is more disgusting than feeding them porridge through their neck, you know? Oh.
Oh, listen.
Yeah.
You wait to see the substance. I'm telling you.
I'm looking. Yeah, I want to see that one bad. I've heard amazing things about
pretty
this.
special.
I'm going to go see it Wednesday. Yeah.
I love this film, and the practical effects are like magic tricks, especially with the light bulb. Because I watched it the other day. I was like, how the fuck did they do that? I think we're going to be unanimous because I love this film. I say they're coming to get you, Barbara. What you reckon?
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. No doubt about it.
Hey, we got a first top one.
The best shot in this one, the one that still like just blows my mind, is when the woman in I think it's one of the ladies runs up to the camera. She puts her hands on her head and she screams, and then Void like punches right through her mouth, and there's like not even, you can't even tell where the cut is, and then her body is like this dummy that's on his arm, and I'm just like, the friggin' editing matched with the effects.
Insane.
It's just, it's incredible. I don't know how they did it, but this movie is like a friggin' party. It's not for everyone. The first time that I watched this movie was after my 8th grade like graduation promotion or whatever, and one of the girls that hosted the party, it was a couple of twins. She ran into the bathroom and vomited after
Yes,
the pudding scene with the custard, you know.
All the stuff
but
in there. It's
do
just
you know
custard?
Oh, I know, but you know, carry on. I'll come back to it. I forgot what I was going to say now. When people went to see it in theatre, it came with spew bags, and there is a trailer. There is a trailer, right? You can find it on YouTube. The original trailer for it. Half of the screen was a picture of sheep in a field, and then half of the screen was the trailer for Brain Dead, and it tells you at the start, if it gets too much, just cover one eye.
That's awesome. They should do that. That's great marketing. I love that.
How good is that? So yeah, you cover your left eye and then you can just see the sheep. Brilliant.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Whoever thought of that?
Shall we just talk about Brain Dead for an hour?
For an hour.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Next up, we have got me.
Jenkins.
No, I can't control that. It's ridiculous. Anyway, we got one of my favorite films ever made, Dawn of the Dead, 2004's version, Zack Snyder's first film, written by James Gunn, who did Guardians of the Galaxy. It is awesome. It's one of my, it's got one of the best opening scenes, best makeup, characters. It is slightly underrated, even though it was a big hit. I feel like I need to shake people and say, you need to keep watching this, keep talking about this film. I love it. Yeah.
Do you know, I had that poster there. My brother actually stole that poster from a bus stop, and I had it on my bedroom wall. It was huge. I had to take it down at one point because it just wouldn't fit on the wall. But
you know that got banned.
Yes, because it was a child.
Yeah, a dead child on a bus stop.
yeah. But God knows where that poster is now. My brother's in the chat. He can contest to that.
I know you're a big fan of this, I'm guessing, Davey.
Yeah, this one was like, I remember when they announced it at first, it was going to be PG-13. There was all this talk about, a zombie baby, and I was really, really worried about it. And then probably about, 4 or 5 months into production, it was announced that they were going to go full R. And it, I breathed a sigh of relief. I saw this one opening night, and the audience was just so rowdy, having such a great time. And I went back the very next day and watched it again. I was that blown away by it. And I love that it was different than what Romero had. Like, I like that he modernized it. So he didn't try to go back and do a tried and true remake. He was like, no, I'm just going to bring it to the forefront of like today's day and age. We're going to have more characters so we can have just, more relation with the audience, more or less. And the humor works. The gore is really great. I think the character development's awesome here.
Yeah.
And this one's a blast, man. Great soundtrack as well.
And the tone, you know, like the lighting he uses, the yellow of the daughter, even when she's in hospital, and you can feel like the night is coming to an end, and everything is perfect in this film. I remember the trailer because I heard Dawn of the Dead was coming out. The internet was around, but it was hard to download trailers in 2004. I think it was so slow, wasn't it? And I remember seeing the trailer was just that opening scene where the little girl jumps up onto her feet, and you didn't know, is this a ghost film? What's this? And then you say, oh my god, this is fucking Dawn of the Dead. Oh, this is so good, so different. I love this film. Right, shall we stick it in the tier?
Yes, let's do it.
Where's it going?
I think it's They're Coming to Get You, Barbara, for me.
I'm going to agree. I put 100% it up there. Agree. What about you, Kurt?
Yeah. I have to agree.
Well, you got no choice. You're outnumbered. It's going up. Yeah, that's the rules.
I'm allowed an opinion, Jenks.
No.
This is not a democracy.
Yeah. Right, because it's an alphabetical order. I can't say anything. We've got me. Oh, this is shit. This is so annoying. We use Restream. It's really good, but you know, it has some of these features don't work properly. Anyway, we got Dawn of the Dead, 1978's original one. It's a classic. I know you're going to kill me, Davey, but I do prefer Zack Snyder's version. Doesn't mean to say I don't enjoy this one.
All right, guys, it's been great. I'll see you later.
Yes. Are you going to kick us off, Davey?
No. I welcome all opinions, especially when it comes to art. It's like, I'm not going to get my feelings hurt. I didn't work on the movie. So I totally get it. Like, I can't blame anyone if they prefer the Zack Snyder remake. It's a little bit quicker. The Romero film's a bit more of a think piece, and I do like the slow burn aspect of it. But I think that's great that the two movies exist in the same world. So
you can love them together, innit?
Yeah, and I think for this one, like the first time I saw it, it was really difficult to find this movie. I lived in a small town in Southeast Alaska, and there was one copy in my town. My friends and I rented it on VHS. This was like probably 98 or 99. And I just remember being so heartbroken when Roger got bitten as they're moving the trucks, that it just, like, that to me was like a gut punch. I felt sick to my stomach, and I was like, how awesome is it that this movie is having this effect on me? I care about these characters so much. And so for me, Dawn of the Dead was big in sort of informing how I would feel about, you know, just how important story and characters, and spending that time doing some mundane things with your characters is actually a good thing. So I'd put this in the tippy top. I prefer it to the remake, but yeah, what can you do? I'm just a Romero kind of guy.
Yeah, Davey, I'm absolutely with you there. I will always go for the original Dawn of the Dead, specifically George Romero's first 3 Dead movies. I don't think any zombie movie can beat any of them. You can remake them as many times as you want, but I think what I was going to say when we were ranking the other Dawn of the Dead is, if we're going to put this one at the top, they can't go side by side, because I think this one is substantially better than Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead.
I would say I would put it in Cinema Paramedics, but I'm outnumbered, so it's going in top.
Absolutely. And Tom Savini's early work on this one, when he was like really trying things out, you can see he was really trying on this one, but the work he does is fantastic, as always. The helicopter scene, oh my god.
Yeah.
For the time, it's so good.
Do you know what I love about George Romero's first 3 films is that, I think I mentioned it before, Curtis, that you feel like the end of the world, like more so than like Mad Max is very like over the top nuclear fallout sort of, but this feels like society gradually shutting down, and you feel unease, especially in this one, when you've still got video TV cameras going, and there's a little bit of humanity left, but it's on its last legs, and this captures it perfectly, I think.
Yeah, there's no Shaun of the Dead ending in these ones, where everything goes back to normal, and you got your best friend in the shed. There's no way.
Yeah.
Oh, spoiler alert.
And I think
that's Jenks.
That's another thing that's a good credit to Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, is that he also chose to end his movie with a sad ending, or just they they go to that island and they find the same problem on the island, you know, that during the credits scene, you know,
Yes.
the last bit.
Yeah.
And I do want to say one last thing about Dawn of the Dead. I love, like, Romero's scripts are so incredible. He was not afraid to write ugly characters. And I think that's something that's like really missing from a lot of movies. Certainly some movies do have it. I think that Tarantino's one of those people out there that took a lot from Romero. Like, every time I watch Dawn of the Dead, I'm like, I feel like this is Quentin Tarantino's favorite movie. Like, great dialogue and ugly characters. Same for Day of the Dead, has some really ugly characters as well. But I think that's real. And so I think it's one of those things that nowadays we get so like, oh, you can't say that in a movie. And it's like, but some people are that way. And
100%.
And it's okay to show those people in movies, and also okay to have zombies rip out their guts. You know.
Yeah, and that's what Tarantino's always said. Like, I write real people, and they say things like this, and I'm not going to let anything stop me writing someone as true as I can write them. And that's exactly what George Romero and Tarantino have done. Yeah,
you're not condoning the language. You're just like, hey, it's out there. And then watch this guy get his head blown off. There you go.
Do you know what I always find, though? Do you know when Dawn of the Dead remake came out, I read an article that George Romero was saying that, you know, zombies shouldn't run and this and that. But what I find with George Romero is that they're slow as hell, but then when he wants them to catch up with people quick, they're pretty sharp, you know. You're thinking they'd never catch anybody. They're so slow when they're like stumbling around, ambling.
There's like a spectrum in Romero's movies. It's kind of nice. There's some zombies that don't really remember anything about like the person they were, and then there's you know, zombies like Bub, or the one that holds the gun in Dawn of the Dead, and it's like. So it is kind of interesting that, like, just like the way we are when we're alive, some of us are smarter and some of us are dumber. Sorcerer's Stone, I'm the dumb one. Dead alive. But I think that's cool. Yeah.
Cool. Right. We are on to, you're going to love this now, boys. We've got me again. We've got Day of the Dead. I love this film.
My second favourite zombie movie of all time. Brain Dead's in number 1 spot. Day of the Dead is in number 2. This is by far George Romero's masterpiece. I finally got to see this one on the big screen a few months ago. It was the first time my girlfriend had seen it, so I knew it was coming up in cinema, so I thought, I won't show it to her, so the first time she can witness this movie, right, will be on the big screen. Yeah. And it was such an amazing experience. I love the film 10 times more after seeing it on the big screen. And what's great about it is that opening scene where the hands come through the wall. That hasn't made me jump since I was 10 years old. And taking my girlfriend to cinema to see it and her jumping on that scene was just fantastic. I knew it was coming, but obviously she didn't.
Yeah. I saw this in the cinema recently as well, because they must have, it's not the anniversary, obviously, but it was in the UK, and I watched it, and I was gutted because I usually skip the first 10, 15 minutes when a film starts to skip all the, not the film, all the adverts, because you can reserve a seat. But for some reason, because this was an old film, they didn't have any adverts. So I missed the first like 2 minutes of it. I was like, oh, what?
I had that with Shaun of the Dead, because I got in late and I walked in, sat down, and the film had just started, and it just felt weird not seeing ads before the film.
Yeah, disgusting.
They should run ads for like the year it came out. Like, how cool would that be?
Oh,
you know, you see other ads for like 2004
there.
when you're watching Shaun of the Dead, and then you go to see Day of the Dead, and they're showing you an ad for like Return of the Living Dead or something like that. You know?
And normal.
You need to copyright that. You need to copyright that.
And normal adverts as well, like washing powder from the 70s and stuff.
Yeah.
Really unprogressive, old school adverts. that haven't aged well at all. Yes. So where are we putting this then, guys?
This is my number 1 favorite of all time. So this one's They're Coming to Get You, Barbara, and man, I heard my whole, like, once I got into Romero, everyone was like, oh, well, Day of the Dead's just like this terrible movie. None of the characters are likable. I was told all this stuff about it. And then I don't think I saw it until because all the versions of it were so like dark. The transfer was really rough. But then when, was it Anchor Bay put out that like double DVD?
Yeah.
I got that collection, and man, I put that movie in. My dad and I watched it together, and we were both sucked in. And he's not like a big horror guy. Like, he's not anti-horror, but he was like sucked into the story. The effects are like most realistically impressive zombie effects I've ever seen. Just Tom Savini's like magic trick kind of stuff is great. Rhodes is like one of my favorite villains of all time. The friggin' dialogue, I'm running this monkey farm now, Frankenstein, and I want to know what the fuck you're doing with my time.
Oh, nice.
Is amazing.
Nice.
There's so many great quotable lines in here. It's just so damn good.
When Curtis and I did a video, I pointed out that I thought Rhodes wasn't as evil as everyone says. He's kind of like, I'm on Team Rhodes because he's got a point. He's not just this horrible bloke. He's actually got a point. His men are dying. They're the ones going out getting it. And he's, and I don't blame him.
I think that's another credit to Romero's writing and anyone that writes a villain that you can understand. It's like
he made
you should
us
be
hate
able
the
to.
good guy.
Yeah, well, and you need to be able to understand the villain, like the way James Cameron does it. It's great when it's an alien, but then it seems like every other movie that James Cameron does, the villain is basically the devil. There's like nothing redeeming. Even in like Avatar, the bad guy is like pure evil. Even Billy Zane in Titanic is like pure evil. There's nothing good about that guy. But you have somebody like a character like Darth Vader or a character like Rhodes in Day of the Dead, where it's like you totally understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
And I think that elevates them as a villain, and just for me makes the experience like that much better. That's probably what puts it at the tippy top. Like I'm a sucker for storytelling and character development and arc. Like I want all of those. Everything else is sort of lower tier important for me.
Yeah, 100%. It all kind of falls into place as well when he gives that line, "Those are my men," in there, and that's when you start to realize, look, I don't think this guy's all that bad. Like he's genuinely a leader and he's worried about his men. But obviously,
he says that who's subjected to what? You've lost 2 men, we've lost 5. It's just basically like you're talking about tyranny and we're the ones like getting eaten by zombies. Like back off, dude.
I feel like Rhodes is like Johnny Lawrence from Karate Kid. There's going to be like a series I'm following, and we're all going to be supporting Rhodes in his own show.
It's a bit late for that.
I love. The worst death in that film is when it's not the eye, it's the vocal cords ripping and his scream.
It's the
distorts.
noise it makes.
It's such. Oh, it's so good. Anyway, we could talk. Let's move on because we're going to be all night doing the same film. It's me again. Sorry, Dead Snow 2.
Yes.
This is Curtis's choice. Kurt, do you want to kick us off?
This is one of my favourite movies of all time. I absolutely love this one. When I first watched it, I seen the first one when it came out. I thought it was an okay movie. I liked it enough to jump on the second when it came out. But when I first watched this was like my brain dead. And what I mean is that it's one that came out when I was watching horror movies and I could show to people because there was a clear inspiration there from Brain Dead. This is one of the most bonkers zombies you will ever watch. I tried to get you to watch it for years, Jenks, and finally got you to watch it and you hated it.
I didn't hate it.
Pissed me off.
I said it just was too silly for me. Nazis versus Russian zombies. I don't know, it was a bit... I didn't feel like the zombies were enough of a threat. They didn't seem powerful enough to warrant raising another army of zombies to get rid of this. Like, I don't know.
They had a tank, Jenks. They literally, right? There's multiple scenes, right, in the movie where they take over towns in seconds because they've got weapons and army tanks. Now, that sounds silly, but they are probably the most threatening zombies that's ever been put to screen because they're literally wiping out towns because they're conscious. They're not zombies. They're just risen. They're risen soldiers.
Yeah,
they're absolutely a threat.
What about you?
I love it. I haven't seen this one. I've seen the first one. I really enjoyed the first Dead Snow, but I need to see the sequel still. But I love it, Jenks, that you're like, this zombie movie is just too unrealistic.
I know.
It's tipping the point. But I totally get you. And maybe it's some sort of allegorical comment on society as far as like, when countries team up with another country that maybe like they're not the best guys, but you would team up with them to fight the worst guys. Like, the Allied forces welcoming Russia in World War II, even though Stalin was killing all sorts of people, but it's like, well, we need somebody to help us kill the the Nazis, something like that. So maybe there's a comment there. And then also, I mean, it's like I don't know if you guys have ever read Romero's unmade Day of the Dead script, but there were going to be like certain levels of zombies that wore like a vest of a certain color and they could carry a weapon and like sort of be soldiers themselves. So maybe it sounds like maybe they're using a little bit of that, but of course, a little more comedy to it, I would imagine.
Do you know, not my finest hour. So that poster there, I got that tattooed, right? That picture of his
on
head
your
in
ass.
the... And the amount of times, right, someone has gone to me, is that a Nazi general tattooed on your arm? And I have to explain to them. Like, it probably wasn't my finest idea to get that tattoo, but I was in love with the film at the time, and I was like, I'm going to get a tattoo of Dead Snow. And it's right here, I don't know if you can see
it. There you go. Just do a no smoking sign over it or something, and you're like, all right.
Yeah, but I had in the tattoo shop the other day when I was getting a tattoo, and someone came over, he goes, Isn't that a Nazi general on your arm? And I was like, yeah.
No, it's a zombie, okay?
Have you guys seen that Mitchell and Webb look? Have you ever seen that show?
Are we the baddies?
Are we the baddies?
So
all hats have actual skulls on them.
I love it. That's the best sketch ever.
Who wears skulls? I love it.
Right.
Yeah, so that was my finest hour.
Right. I am going to say that it should go at the bottom. I think it's quite weak. In fact, if I had my way, it would be in its own chart. Shit. No, it's not.
You're an asshole, Jenks. You're an asshole.
I love that's what I.
Right, wait there now. We have to. What we have to do now, right, is it's not fair because it's the two of us. I would put it at the top. You would put it at the bottom. You've got to meet me in the middle.
There's no middle. There's only four.
You could at least put him on.
But if it's just the two of us, Jenks.
You could put a choke on him,
You can't put it at the bottom. Why do I have to come down to you?
I'm in control. Look, I'm in control of this tier maker. I can add a new tier and I can call it shit. Okay, so watch your mouth.
Listen here, Jenks. You get along with Jenks. You two Jenkses, get along, please. Come on, Jenks and Jenks.
Don't you dare put it at the bottom.
All right, okay. Send more paramedics. Not going at the top, or fair?
Yeah.
Yeah, you agree, you know.
Exasperated.
It's going there. That's fair. You know, actually, we got nothing in there. We've only got top and bottom.
I got to check that one out. I got to check it out because I really enjoyed the first one. It sounds like this one's a little more comedic, a little more tongue in cheek.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Next,
let's move on because I'm about to leave the podcast.
I can see the furrowed brow.
We've got Land of the Dead, George Romero's fourth entry. Some would say his last decent one. Let's be honest, the other two was shit. So let's pretend this was the last film he did before he died. Land of the Dead came out 2005, and it's a pretty decent film, I think. It's not the best one, but I've seen it lots of times. It's got loads of flaws, but it's a decent zombie film. What do you think, Davey?
I enjoy this one more and more every time I watch it. I got to see 100%. It opening weekend in Hollywood at the Cinerama. That was really cool. And I was just sort of, I was deflated. Like it was one of those things where I was like, I had built it up so much. I thought it was going to be so amazing. It's really tough to compete with Day of the Dead, but for some reason I thought it would be pretty close. But the more I like chit chatted with my buddies who are big Romero fans, and they kind of like turned me around on some of the ideas. And then, now the more I watch it, the more I enjoy it. I think Simon Baker is absolutely incredible. He puts on one of the best American accents I've ever heard from a non-American ever. I think Leguizamo's really charming here, which he can sort of be like maybe a bit too much, but I think he's pitch perfect here. Dennis Hopper. I mean, this movie's a lot of fun. So I would put this one just to be able to create some separation. I think I would put this one and send more paramedics because I definitely think that Day of the Dead and the Two Dawns are better. Man, I really do like this one a lot.
Yeah, I agree with you. I remember this one coming out. It's the first of his movies I remember coming out. And I loved it when I was a kid. I liked it a little bit less a few years later. But as I've grown older and I can appreciate things a bit more, the more I watch this film, the more I enjoy it. And I know you probably know this, Davey, but this is based on an unmade script for Day of the Dead that he couldn't quite do back then because of budget restrictions. So this is kind of what he wanted Day of the Dead to be, but I think the studio said they'd give him more money if it wasn't going to be R-rated, but he opted for R-rated and they dropped his budget. And obviously, years later, he's managed to get the budget to do this one. And I think it's a cracking entry. I love this film.
I think, ironically, it probably thanks to Dawn of the Dead remake that this had a lot more attention, maybe more money.
Yeah, I think
yeah,
so.
maybe, yeah. You got Tom Savini as a zombie as well. He has a little cameo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of brought Romero's name back into the forefront. And, you know, it was like, yeah, this is the perfect time to hit, you know, let's strike while the iron's hot here.
Do you know, I was following George Romero's career in the 90s, waiting for the next zombie movie, because it's promised for years after Day of the Dead. And the first thing came up, probably 97, 98, was Twilight of the Dead. That was the first one, if you read up. And it was going to be that zombies became like homeless, where they were just ignored on the streets and they weren't a threat. And that was the original premise. Then it changed to... I think Dead Reckoning was going to be a title, working title, and you can see I think the truck is called Dead Reckoning is in this, which is a nod to that. It's a good movie. It's got lots of flaws. I don't really like zombies being characters, as in you're following them around. I think they should always be the threat in the background, but he wanted to do something different, and he did, and you got to give him credit to that, I think.
100%. I think you've just got to evolve a bit, isn't it? Like, you can only do so much of one thing until you have to just kind of mix it up a bit.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the natural progression from Bub and Day of the Dead is like, well, now we're further down the line, and there's more of these that still they retain something of what they had from before. And one of my buddies, like way back, this is like 05, like the year after it came out, told me something that's always stuck with me. Because at that time, it was the bookend of the series. He's like, you know, at the end of Night of the Living Dead, they see, you know, the crew sees the black man in the house through the window. They think he's a zombie and they shoot him. And then at the end of Land of the Dead, they see the black man. They know he's a zombie and they don't shoot him. And it's this really nice kind of full circle moment that the zombies, because he says in every single one of his movies, one of the characters basically says they're us. In a certain way. They mention that in like every one of these. And I think at Land of the Dead, it's the full circle. Like, they are us. We're just going to go find our bastion, and they're going to go find their spot. And we don't even want to have anything to do with each other anymore.
But what he didn't realize is that Big Daddy went off to eat like a busload of orphans.
Exactly.
He just shot him in the end.
And this movie has amazing dialogue too. I mean, Romero's friggin' dialogue, and the like, when Charlie says "nice shooting, Riley," and he's like, "It's good shooting, Charlie. No such thing as nice shooting." Like, stuff like that I'm just like Leguizamo improvising the line, looks like God left the phone off the hook today. Like, moments like
it's
that.
It's the little touches in it.
Yeah. This movie has a bunch of little like nuanced bits in it, little breadcrumbs that I think, like, if you give it a chance and you find those, like, to me, it just gets more and more charming.
Yes. Yeah. So where are we putting this? I would say probably chalk on them. Personally, it's still good, but I still think it's chalk on them. For me, what do you think?
Send more paramedics, I'd say.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's a very good film.
Let's go in there. Then I'm outnumbered. Fair enough. Okay, moving on. We've got. Where are we? Sorry, hang on.
We got Jenks, and then
we've got Jenks.
We got the creepy doll from Poltergeist. All right.
This is the 1990 remake. I've chucked it in because it's worth talking about. It's directed by Tom Savini, and I think it's his first and only film he's ever directed. Is that right, Kurt?
Yeah. He's done some TV, but it's the only movie he's directed. He thought he was coming on board to help with the makeup, and George Romero said, no, I want you to direct it. And that's how it started. I think Tom Savini's done a fantastic job on this movie. It stays faithful to the original, but he does add some nice nuances into this new one. The makeup is unreal, and there's so many great callbacks to the original one, a few Easter eggs. I just think Tom Savini is the best person to direct a George Romero film, because it is a George Romero movie, and who else better to do it than arguably one of George Romero's closest working friends,
Yes.
has to be Tom Savini. Tom Savini was meant to work on the original Night of the Living Dead, but he got called to Vietnam, so he never got to make it, and then he got called in to do Dawn. So this, for Tom Savini, was obviously a massive deal, and I think this movie is severely underrated. I'm a huge fan of this film.
What do you think, Davey?
I think this one, so to me, it's really good. I enjoy it a lot. I think that Tony Todd really carries, so much of the weight of the film on his shoulders because I think he's the best performer.
Yeah.
I do like the way they rewrote Barbara. I'm not sure about the performance all the time. Like at the end, I think it's the end of the movie when she's sort of like laugh crying to herself. I just sort of want to laugh because I don't know if the performance is really quite there for me, but those are little nitpicky things.
Yeah, of course.
I think this movie does. I do love the look of the zombies. I really enjoy, like you said, Kurt, the little things they change in the story were nice touches because it keeps you on your toes a bit. I think there's something odd about the early 90s, like horror movies. Some of them look like almost like made for TV, like some of those made for TV Stephen King movies.
Yeah.
This one has a little bit of that, and it might just be like the set design and the lighting might be a big part of it. So that might be part of, Savini's lack of experience as a director and being at the helm or whatever. Yeah. But I think that this is, a great update to the original. I'm happy that Romero got to go in and rework his own script. I think that's like a really valuable thing. For me, I'd probably put this one in choke on him just because I'm like more likely to watch the original every year. This one, maybe every couple years, something like that.
Right. Fair enough.
I do like this film. I would probably put it in You've Got Red on You. It's a really good film, but it's just too much competition with the other ones, I think.
Choke on them for me.
Okay. He's picking on me now, you two. I know you just ganged up on me.
We had to put something's got to be there, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's looking ugly. Yes. Okay. Next one up, we've got the original. Oh, it's me again.
The original Jenks.
Yeah, the best. Right. Night of the Living Dead. How good's that cover? I love it.
So iconic.
That font,
so
the font is one of my favorite fonts. Like just the angular.
Yeah. There's a naked woman for some reason.
Good old naked zombie. She's in there. You see full frontal and the back in the movie if you look carefully. I think it was the first movie with like the first major release movie with full frontal.
And she's not in bad nick for a corpse, you see.
I'd give her a go.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
Just don't bite me. I'm not into that anyway. And especially if you're a zombie. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Davey Dread, One Cut of the Dead. Have you heard really good things about this? Have you seen it, Curtis?
No, I haven't yet. It's been on my watch list probably for about 2 or 3 years, and I've never got around to watching it. I don't know why everyone keeps telling me how good this film is. But
I know.
You've pushed me. I will watch it soon. I need to.
Right. I respect this film. I really do. And it's excellent. I can't slag it off. It's a really good film, but I don't watch this a lot because it's very, very old. And I know I don't want to sound like a snob where I think this is a masterpiece. It's just of its time. And yeah, but I respect it. That's the best I can say, really.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a movie of its time. It's definitely a classic. It started that great wave of zombie movies. But to me, just comparing it to George Romero's other films, it was never one I went back to loads. I appreciate it massively. But up against Dawn and Day, and even Land for me, it doesn't rank high amongst those ones, to be honest.
Yeah, what do you think, Davey?
I really love this one. I probably saw this movie when I was like 16 for the very first time and opened my eyes to like the zombie subgenre. And I was sort of blown away that in 1968 that a movie could be, even though not all of the acting is there, like I loved the effects. I loved the story that it told, the social commentary that was there. It felt immersive in a lot of spots, like being able to kind of hang out with the crew that's going around with Chili Billy and all that stuff, popping into the news segments and all that kind of stuff. I think Dwayne Jones like knocks it out of the park here as Ben. It's an absolutely brilliant performance. I really like Carl Hardman as what's his face? I can't even remember the jerk's name. But basically like the antagonist of the film. Like I feel like those performances are really good.
Yeah.
Very realistic for the time. I love that Romero had no intention of hiring a black man as the lead. It was just the guy put in the best audition, and that's who got the part.
Yeah, that's
so I think
good.
that it works great because whenever you create a piece of art, whenever you hand it to the audience, it's now theirs as well as yours. And so we see the commentary and all that stuff. And then Romero sort of took that and ran with it. He was like, well, I'm kind of like known for this thing, even though it was unintentional.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to find a clever way to like weave it into my movies from here on out. And his movies can be entertaining if that's all you want, or you can take it up to the next level and find something about, you know, what it says about us. So I would probably put this one in Send More Paramedics. I don't think it's up there with the other ones. You know, I could be talked into what's the one behind it there? What's the other category? I'm brain farting.
So
right now.
it's Barbara's the top one, and then it's Send More Paramedics, then Choke on Them, then it's
Choke on 'Em.
Red.
Okay. I could see it in there as well.
What I love about this film is that it came out 1968, and this template for a zombie movie is still used to this day, like almost beat for beat. Run away from zombies, lock yourself in some building or some room, and keep the zombies out. And it is the perfect template, and you can just keep doing it forever. It's
you don't need to change it, do you?
No.
There's nothing you need to change.
No. Where are we putting this then?
It's more about the people fighting, and the zombies are just the catalyst too. Like the zombies aren't even really the worst guys in the story. Yeah,
totally. I probably put them in Choke on Them personally, because they're stronger movies, taking nothing away from it. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree on Choke on Them.
What about you, Davey?
I think that's a good spot.
There we are. Oh, they're leveling it.
I do watch it every year though. I have the Criterion edition, which is really cool. And yeah, this is a once a year at least, maybe twice a year for me.
Right, this is Curtis's pick from 2007, and we've got Jenks. We've got Planetera.
Yeah, Kurt? I'm an absolute sucker for this film. It's obviously part of the Grindhouse double feature with Robert Rodriguez and Tarantino. You had Death Proof and then Planetera. When I was young, before I appreciated the genius of Tarantino, I much preferred Planetera to Death Proof. Now, that is nowhere near the case. Death Proof is one of my favourite movies ever made. But Planetera is great fun. It's exactly what it says on the tin. It's a dirty grindhouse movie. Doesn't make a lick of sense. And it is just balls to the wall, start to finish. They even did little touches like casting a massive Hollywood star, putting them front and centre on the poster, and then being in the film for 4 minutes, because that's what they did back in the day.
Yeah.
Every single little touch he did in this movie was spot on. I've watched a lot of the old Grindhouse movies, and you could chuck it in with them and it would just fit in. And that's the problem Tarantino had with Death Proof, is that he accidentally made a good film. And Rob Rodriguez comes out with Planetera. Yeah. And I have this little thing where there's this thing that Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman done, where they said they were going to make a trailer for each of their drinks. I think Hugh Jackman had coffee and Ryan Reynolds had a gin. And Ryan Reynolds made a really nice one for Hugh, and Hugh did a shitty one for Ryan, and they ended up arguing. I went into that too much then. But that's how I imagine them two in the room for this one.
Yeah.
Like Tarantino goes first. He shows Rodriguez goes first. He shows Tarantino Planetera, and then he's like...
Yeah. Tarantino's like, can I do mine again?
Yeah, do you know what it reminds me of? Is like when a couple says, like, look, we're only spend a small amount on Christmas now, just something small, and then somebody brings out like something really expensive, like a car. Oh, for fuck's sake, I'll buy you a watch. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I love it.
Have you? Yeah. What do you think of this, Davey? I'm not a big fan of this.
I think this one's like entertaining enough. I'm not a huge fan of, like, I would take, like, I love From Dusk Till Dawn. I like that awesome. Kind of Robert Rodriguez. I think this one maybe leaned a little too far into the schlockiness for me personally, where I was just like, oh, this just seems like a good time, but maybe it's just not what I was in the mood for. A little too silly for me at the time.
Yeah, same here.
I'd probably put this one in You've Got Red on You, not because I think it's bad or anything, but because it's just a little silly in a way that I, for some reason, don't quite get.
I
Fair enough.
can't agree with you more. I'm exactly the same. I don't have a beef for this film because Robert Rodriguez did exactly what he's meant to. Let's
Yeah.
make a silly film like it's very
Taking
much
the piss out
ground
of it.
and I'm glad in Britain they separated them because they weren't released as Grindhouse over here. So they were separate. So a lot of people who were not in the know, like normies, normal people don't really follow movie news, probably didn't understand the history behind it. But it is a decent film. But I would agree with you. I'd stick it at the bottom. You got red on you. What do you reckon?
Outnumbered
Do you
boys.
agree? Outnumbered, yeah. About time. Where would you put it then, Kurt? You're not getting your choice, but I'm just curious.
Choking them, probably.
Well, in choking them because you're not getting it. Right. Okay, next up we have got fuck's sake. Rec or record or whatever, but it's the Spanish film. It came out 2007 and it's a found footage zombie. We mentioned it in Barry's channel with Man Got Nads, and it's a found footage zombie movie stuck in a apartment building, and it's pretty awesome. What do you think,
See,
Davey?
this is the thing. Like, Wreck as well, like, isn't a zombie movie.
Well, it is in there at this point, but if you watch the second one, which that's what I hate about the second one, they change
It's
it.
it's
Oh,
at the
they
end of the
do.
first one because they break into the main guy's room and find all his
yeah.
manuscripts. It's the end of the first one where it's revealed that they're demons and not
I
zombies.
can't remember that.
Yeah,
That's what I couldn't. It seems like he's doing some sort of experiments on or something like that. Or
rituals and that. Yeah.
I thought it was just
Gotcha.
like experiments with like chemicals or something. Like I don't remember the
No,
demon
it's,
bit in the first one.
definitely demons at the end of the first one.
Well,
Okay.
it's a zombie movie, and let's be honest.
Yeah, it plays out like a zombie movie, and until that's revealed, we don't know that it's not a zombie movie.
It's
But
not. It's close enough. It's not Shawshank Redemption, is it? You know.
if you Google Wreck, it has zombie all over it.
Yeah.
If you type in "is Wreck a zombie movie" in Google, it'll tell you it is. So yeah, technically, it is.
Yes. What do you think, Davey?
But it's a great film.
I don't like this one. Like I just watched it recently because I had done Barry and I had just done a straight top 10 and we just went back and forth on our top 10 zombie films a few months ago. And I was like, well, I'm going to rewatch Rec because I enjoyed it watching it, maybe a couple years after it had come out. And it just like really didn't work for me. The performances I didn't really enjoy. The writing, like I just felt like the characters, it was so maddening to me that the story was going the way it was going. I don't know. I feel like an outlier on this one because for whatever reason, this movie just doesn't.
Yes, we admit like
watch it again.
sometimes a movie just doesn't hit.
Yeah.
And that's as simple as it gets. Like,
For me, I think I like this film a lot. But I would say if you're somebody who can't be bothered to read subtitles, Quarantine is pretty much as good.
Yeah.
It's almost like for like with quality. I haven't seen the second one, but I've seen Rec 1, 2, and 3. I never watched Apocalypse. It's the one on the boat.
yeah, I really like the third one. It's the one in the wedding. I like the third one a lot.
It's quite a strange one.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Davey. I would say bottom tier. You've got red on you. What do you think, Kurt?
Well, that's 2-1, but I would have put it higher.
Where would you put it? Just a curiosity.
Choking them compared to the rest, to be honest.
Down there. Sorry, boy. Okay, so next up we've got Return of the Living Dead. Yes, my favorite film of all time. Not just zombie. My favorite film. Full stop. I was going to say period
right.
then, just because you're American, but we say full stop over here.
Full stop.
Full stop. I love this film. My uncle, which is his dad, Curtis, his dad, introduced me to this. He used to have the big box VHS of it, the one you can buy from the video shop. And it had, I just watched it so often. I remember the trailers on it. You had warning sign, some shit horror film, and you had Once Bitten Jim Carrey, and everything about that VHS I absorbed. And this film is so good. This is the only film I can watch over and over again. I watched it a few months ago, and if it was on now, I'd watch it. And I don't do that often. I like to have gaps between films, and I love this film. What do you think, Davey? You a big fan of this?
I really dig this one. I think it's one of the most punk rock films of all time. Like, not just the soundtrack, but some of the characters and just like the approach, the way they make the movie. It's just so like reckless abandon, really fun. It's not Richard Rubenstein. Who's the guy? Because it's the person who co-wrote Night of the Living Dead with George Romero. John Russo. Yeah. It's cool that he got to go and do his own like offshoot, and sort of like it's still kind of connected to that first one. At least like the Night of the Living Dead is like a real event within the realm of Return of the Living Dead. The characters are so great. Suicide's like John Travolta accent when he's like, "This ain't no costume." He's just like it's so like funny and like over the top. Yeah, and Linnea Quigley is amazing. Miguel Nunez Jr. I mean, Tom Matthews. I think my favorite is Clu Gulager. I love Clu Gulager so much in this movie. And I could put this on whenever. I actually was just gifted a steelbook of it from Eli Cortez, who's in the chat. So I'll be able to watch the other Blu-ray I had is just like some bargain bin one. So super pumped to be able to check it out again.
I love this film so much. And the only bit I don't love in it is the skeleton that comes up. It's so shit. And I saw like I watched the commentary with I've gone blank now, the director's name.
Dan O'Bannon. And he said, the producer on the commentary was saying, I hated that skeleton. He was a piece of shit. Even in the 80s, he was a piece of shit. And Dan O'Bannon.
And they use it twice. They use it twice. And they bring it all back at the end.
He was saying, Dan O'Bannon was saying like, I didn't care. I didn't want, as if he had other things. I was too busy like sorting that out. I didn't care about the skeleton. I was like maybe off working on the script or something. But
do you know what's crazy is that obviously Dan O'Bannon wrote Alien, and even going to see Alien Romulus in cinema, it comes up at the start, characters created by Dan O'Bannon. I know. And because he is the guy that directed The Return of the Living Dead, it's so weird seeing his name attached to something so classy.
Yeah. I love the marketing for this. All the posters of the punk zombies, because there literally are no punk zombies in it, basically. But they just use it over and over again. I love it. Yes.
There's only one place for this movie, boys, and it's You've Got Red on You.
No.
It's such a great, it really is the perfect horror movie for the mid 80s. It just really encapsulates like the culture and the MTV, and even just the counterculture of the MTV. It kind of grabs both of them at the same time. This movie is just like a big party. And of course, like it takes place on the 3rd of July. So, whenever we're around Independence Day out here in the States, that's when you got to pop this one on and celebrate the freedom of your country and the freedom of the living dead.
Love it.
I honestly, I love it. And I got to say, Trash is so stunning in this. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Dude, that dance is just...
it's amazing. Whew. It's up.
That wore a lot of VHS tapes out. That one right there.
Right. Next up, we got Curtis's Choice. We've got Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. Came out 2015.
Just to mix things up a bit, I do like this film. I don't love it, but I knew that the three of our lists would be very similar, so I just chucked a few in that I knew no one would pick. I do really like this film. It is a fun time. There's loads of really standout moments in it. But yeah, it's kind of forgotten about. I kind of forgot it existed for a good 4 or 5 years. And I think I stumbled back onto it, rummaging through old DVDs of mine, and I feel like this movie came out people spoke about it, and then it just disappeared. It's gone. Like Shaun of the Dead still has that presence 20 years later, and I just feel like this movie is completely forgotten about, and I think it's severely underrated. I think it's a very good film.
I think it is a very good film, and the setup is great with these sort of nerdy kids, and they're teaming up with this really hot stripper. She's a stripper,
Yeah.
isn't she? Yeah. But my favourite character in this film is his friend, the Chopsy friend.
Yeah.
He's been in a few films. I think he's brilliant. He's so like, I don't know, he's so drawn to his character. But yeah, it's a good one. It says. Have you seen his Davey?
I have not seen this one, but now I really want to. I'm gonna have to look for a version of it on streaming because, yeah, like you said, Kurt, if I had known about this movie when it was like around its release date, I had totally forgotten. Like the name seems familiar to me, but I don't remember like anything else, other than that.
Well,
It's big budget. It's very well made. It's a good film.
Yeah.
But you would have had to go out and dig for this one. I don't think it's something that would have fallen on your lap. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, and it's Christopher Landon, okay, and Ty Sheridan's in it, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, do you know what's great about this? Without giving any spoilers, so there's three boys, and they're getting a bit old for scouts, and one of the friends is kind of like pushing to keep it going. The other friends don't want to do it anymore, and then when the shit hits the fan, like their scouts training is what gets him through this hell, and it's such a good little story. Like, right. So where are we putting this then, guys? I would personally put it at the bottom, not taking anything away from it, but it's it's just too many.
We have so many in the bottom.
Yeah, I think chalk on them.
Okay, I'll stick it in chalk on them because it is a good film, and I'm being nice.
Oh, and you got David Koechner's in there as the scout leader.
Yes,
I love David Koechner. Cracks me up, man.
He's so good.
Yeah,
I just watched Snakes on a Plane recently.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
We've got Shaun of the Dead, our UK's masterpiece.
Yeah.
Davey, you're welcome. Okay, this came from the UK, right?
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
You haven't given us anything. Yeah, it's about time we.
Well, actually, you're welcome because it wouldn't exist without Romero's film.
Yes,
so there you go.
Yes.
A little tip for Kat,
it all comes back round. It all comes back round.
Thanks for the language, guys. Really appreciate that too.
I love this film. I saw it in cinema. Oddly enough, when I first watched this, I didn't hate it, like you said the other day, Kurt. I wanted to like it more, but somehow I must have been in a funny mood. It didn't click properly, and I didn't know why. I felt the same when I watched This Is the End. I didn't click with that, and then once I watched it the second time, I was like, "Oh my god, this is like the best film that's ever been." Like, it's like Tarantino level of layered. It's funny. Every time you watch it, there's new things you don't notice. And look how iconic that shirt is,
Oh, I know. Just a white shirt with a red tie. And
genius.
I'm still noticing things in Shaun of the Dead. I noticed something in cinema the other day. I've seen this movie hundreds of times, and I'm constantly discovering new things. There's easily 50 foreshadows in there. There's gotta be. There's no less than 50 foreshadows in this film. Something that is said foreshadowing.
I thought you were saying 54 shadows.
Oh, no.
I was like,
something that's said at the start that comes at the end. It's just insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's 54 shadows in it as well. If you just can count them.
There's that one shot of the zombies. They all have shadows. Yeah, this movie is really, it works as a zombie film. It works as a comedy film. It works as the two combined. It has like some really heartfelt moments, like, Bill Nighy's character with Sean, like where they get to have like a really good moment there where they reconcile, in the worst time of the history of humanity. And plenty of awesome homages and tip of the caps to other franchises.
Yes.
And not even just Romero. I mean, I think like when Sean goes in to ask the other roommate, he like kind of busts in on him in the shower, and he's sitting in the shower as a zombie or whatever, but he's like, "We were wondering if you wanted to," and he opens the shower and sees him as a zombie and says, "Join us." And I'm like, "Join us." There's a little Evil Dead reference on the "Join Us." Like, there's so much great humor here. I mean, you can like as an American that didn't grow up watching like Spaced or any of those other shows that these actors were a part of or these writers were a part of, maybe you get even a little bit more as a Brit, like having that background, but you can tell jumping into it fresh, seeing these performers for the first time, that the chemistry is there. And like, that's the one thing about this movie that stuck out to me right away. The chemistry is great. The writing's awesome. The scenery of the bar for like the showdown and everything. Great soundtrack. Best use of Don't Stop Me Now I've ever heard in my life.
100%.
This is a 5 out of 5 for me, and an essential zombie film.
Do you know this film? Okay, now modern movies like remakes, sort of I can't think of the word now. Just sort of reboots and all that. Not like Alien Romulus. Now I don't dislike that film. It's perfectly fine. But you know, have you seen it, Alien Romulus?
I haven't seen that one yet. No.
So they just insert when there's a character just says, what's he say with that? What's that line in it from Alien now? Get away from me, you bitch. Is that the word? Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Aliens, yeah.
And they just insert it in the most unlikely place just for a little nod. Whereas in Shaun of the Dead, yes, it's on the nose when he says, "We're coming to get you, Barbara," right?
Yeah.
That works really well because you don't even notice until he says that her name is Barbara, you know, that's the same as that. I think, oh, that's awesome. And
we're coming to get you, Barbara.
Yeah, I was like, oh, yes, that's how you insert an old reference line in it.
Yeah,
it's
100%.
Awesome. Yes.
And it's like the Shaun of the Dead takes place like in our universe. Like, you know, that's what it seems like, because even when he says zombie, they're like, don't use the Z word.
Don't say that.
You know,
say what?
So it's one of those things where it's like, you sort of get the idea that, like, you know, even what's his face there? I don't know what, I'm just brain farting on it. Yeah. Nick Frost is, you know, it's almost like his character knows that he's being a little bit cheeky by, you know, I can finally use this line. You know? I can bring this one back.
One of my favorite touches from the film, right, is Nick Frost has got a ball patch on the back of his head, right? And I don't know if you two know this, but Jackass was really big at the time, and they used to do the POV of a shaver and shave the back of their head. And Edgar Wright put that in as a homage to Jackass, as if someone had done it to him.
All right. I never noticed that. I never noticed that.
It's not explained in the film, right? But I always wondered. I was like, I wonder why Nick Frost has got a ball patch on the back of his head, but it's an homage to Jackass, which is just brilliant.
Amazing.
It's awesome.
Right. Yeah. I think it's pretty obvious, isn't it?
Yeah. They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Yeah.
I would make another tier to go on top of They're Coming to Get You, Barbara.
Yes. It's awesome.
I love that movie so much.
Okay, we got an odd one here now from Curtis. I think you just want to mix it up. The Sadness. I've seen this. Came out 2021. It's a Japanese film, is it, or Korean? I can't remember.
Yeah, so it's just as much a zombie movie as 28 Days Later is. This one is more rage. Whatever infection these people have, it makes them live out their darkest fantasies, and everybody ends up in a fit of rage. Everyone ends up sadistic. It's got some of the most unsettling and disgusting scenes you'll ever see. They do things that you wouldn't be able to do in most countries. And this is up there with one of the bleakest movies ever made. I'm a big fan of this movie, but it's not one I can go back to loads because it is that nasty.
Yes, there's an eyeball scene in it that I can't even mention.
Yeah, there's a baby scene.
So you haven't seen it, Davey? You said no.
I've never seen this one. No,
it's on Shudder.
It's the first time I've heard of it. Shudder. Okay,
it's very well made. It's a very good film. It's probably one I'll go back to maybe in like 4 years. But yeah, it's a rough one. It is a rough one.
Yes. So let's just do this one quick again, because we haven't got a hell of a lot to say about this, but it is a good film. I would recommend it, but it's not easy to watch. I would put it at the bottom personally, because it's still a good
there's
film.
too many at the bottom now, choking them. It's a very good film.
I can't, choking them is a bit much. It's a good film, but come on. It's not better than like 28 Days Later.
Well, I think it is personally.
Okay, see, all right.
Jenks, just put it at the bottom.
No, I'll put it.
Just put it at the bottom.
I'll put it here to balance things out, because we're at
there we go.
Heads, that's fair. Yeah, not as horrible.
Gotta find balance in life.
Yeah. I'll change it later, don't worry.
Yeah.
Right, now we got the big boys. Train to Busan. Just start us one off, Davey. I know you're a big fan of this one.
Yeah, I think this one, what I really enjoyed about this film is that it pays respect to the Romero rules, of zombies, but it also like expands on the lore a little bit. Like I love it was like the darkness and everything, like when everything's completely pitch black, it's almost they go for, like the stasis kind of thing. I thought that was a nifty little way to create more tension and also give our characters a little bit more of an opportunity to survive in such a tight situation. But you follow all the tenets of a Romero film where, you're in an enclosed space, there's really only a couple locations once you really get going. They get off the train, but they get right back on the train. And then there's that amazing like social commentary of like creating, separation of class and people basically being, the ultimate villains against one another.
Yeah.
So, and it ends on, a bit of a downer note as well. So for me, it hit all the things I was looking for. And it also like gave me some stuff that I didn't really expect that for me worked a lot. So I really enjoyed this one. Only seen it one time, but it really, really stuck out to me. And it was pretty recent that I checked it out.
Yeah, I think what I love most about this film is how well they use all the different carriages, because obviously there's not that much space in them. But it's quite impressive how well they utilise the small spaces in this movie, and every carriage feels different, specifically when the three guys are trying to make it to the other side of the train, and they've got to come up with different ways to distract the zombies to get past them, and every carriage is different. Hats off to them for making this as engaging as it was with how little room they had to do it. I think it's a fantastic film.
Yeah, and I haven't seen the sequel. It's meant to be horrendous.
It's not horrendous, but it's not good, if that makes sense.
We did a review with this a few months ago, and I rewatched it. It's such a good film. And do you know the little girl in it? Oh my God, she's over an Oscar. Her performance.
Oh my God.
You can't help but choked up when she's screaming, crying when he locks her in the, oh my God. It is heartbreaking. You'd have to be a pretty tough nut not to get choked up in that bit.
Yeah.
And the interaction between the main character and like the other main guy, I can't remember the characters' names, but they start out like adversaries because your main character is like totally selfish and just like it's almost like his daughter kind of like reminds him of being like a little bit more of a community member and not just like looking out for me and you, like let's look out for everyone. And I like that relationship between him and the other man like has this shift as the story goes on. Again, I'm big about character arc and story development, so I like seeing that.
Yeah.
I think we're all in agree. Should we put this in the top?
Well, I would put it on send more paramedics.
I think that's a good spot for it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I'll agree with that as well, actually.
It's not as good as that top row. Look at that top row. Jesus Christ.
It's pretty sweet.
I'm going to watch all of them today.
Yes. Right, where are we now? Almost at the end now. I know you say you got to go, Kurt, but are you right for a few more minutes?
Yeah, I'm fine. My daughter will just be wrecked getting up for school tomorrow.
Yeah, it's not our problem.
Oh, nice, Jenks, nice.
Right, I stuck this in. Now, a lot of people slag this film off, and it's got probably the most plot holes and coincidences in any movie ever. But if you like zombies, and the great thing about this, it's got the budget to do something with zombies that no other film can do or ever will probably again, because they can't even market this as a horror. Every time you search for this in thriller, it's never in zombie. And you're like, oh, come on, it's a flat out
because Brad
zombie.
Pitt's in it, so you can't call it a horror.
Yeah, they just worried. They thought they couldn't sell it. It's horror is like a dirty word. Like if you look at books, It and Pet Sematary are under thrillers now, not even in horror.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I love this film. I've seen it loads of times, and I'm in spite of the flaws.
I've watched it once when it came out, and I've never gone back to it. I enjoyed it, but not enough to even draw me in for a second watch. I know we spoke about it a few months ago, Jenks. I said I'd watch it again. I have it on Blu-ray because that's just the person I am. I haven't watched it in over 10 years, but I did buy it on Blu-ray. But yeah, I need to go back and watch it. But as where I'm sitting now, I never thought that much of it, to be honest.
What about you, Davey?
I've never seen this one.
Wow.
And I think I kind of avoided it because it's such a mainstream approach to a zombie film. When I saw the trailers and I saw the zombies like building bridges and walls with each other like ants, that was a turnoff, a massive turnoff. And another turnoff for me, honestly, is Brad Pitt. Like, I don't think he's a bad actor. I think he's a really good actor, but actors of that caliber where you know so much about their personal lives, like even somebody like Tom Cruise, I go to a movie for the suspension of disbelief. And then when I see a star, sometimes it sucks me out. And so like, this was one that I just never checked out, and I probably should. So I know.
I would say
slag me off, as you say.
The irony is, though, is that some of the best elements of Train to Busan are the sort of termites building up of zombies, the big massive zombies.
Sure,
it's totally
they do
straight
that a little
out
bit.
of this.
Yeah.
With a smaller budget, but obviously in this, where they got the Israel wall and they're piling over like termites. I mean, it is awesome to see. I would recommend it personally. And there are a stack load of plot holes, and like you wouldn't believe. And this was one of the worst cases of studio interference problems. They had to reshoot the last half because you got that Matthew guy from Lost. Oh, what's his name? The main guy, Jack Matthew something. Do you know him?
Oh yeah, I can't think of his last name.
He's a good-looking guy with the skin there. Anyway, he's in this. Blink and you'll miss him, and it's because he was meant to be a central character, but they cut all his scenes out, and he's just in there. Like, oh, he's got a terrible part in this. He's a big star, especially back then. But I got a feeling this is going to be pretty low on the old tier. One, because you haven't seen it, and Curtis hates it.
Yeah, bottom of the pile for me, to be honest.
No, yeah, I would have picked the same. I'm not going to.
I do need to check it out. I haven't read the book either, but I really loved Max Brooks's his first book, The Zombie Survival Guide. That book cracked me up. And then I know this was sort of like his follow up to that.
This is nothing like the book. It's literally the same in name only. And Max Brooks, I think, does not like this movie. Jerry Lane is the same character. He works for the UN. That's pretty much it. And it's called World War Z. It's bugger all about it. Right. We have got now Zombie Flesh Eaters. Great cover. Love it.
Yeah, do you know, this is an absolute classic. I highly rate this movie. I think Lucio Fulci is one of the best horror directors out there. And we've got two standout scenes in this movie, which no one else has done or would have done. And you've got a zombie fighting a shark, first of all. That is the craziest thing you could ever think up. And it's an actual man wrestling a shark. The shark's even taken inches out of him. Obviously not the real guy. He's probably got prosthetic arms on and stuff. And this is the first zombie movie where the zombies were trying to kill you, not just eat you. It was as if like they had an aggression against you where they wanted to hurt you. And I'm talking about that scene where you've got the hand through the door and then you've got the spike.
Oh, God.
No zombie has ever wanted any harm done to you other than wanting to eat, just like an animal does.
Hang on. What about Night of the Living Dead, the first one? Didn't the girl pick up a knife or something?
No,
She does. She uses the trowel on her mom.
Yes.
She uses the trowel. And and even the first zombie in the, graveyard, like knocks brother out, like kills him on the gravestone and then grabs a rock to like try to break into the but I see what you're saying, but this is more of a slasher villain kind of approach in Zombie Flesh Eaters.
Of course, like how much pain that zombie wanted to inflict this woman, and that is one of the most horrific scenes ever.
Oh, so good,
man.
If no one has heard of Lucio Fulci, he would be quite unknown to general audiences because he's an Italian director. If you like gore, oh my God, this guy is the man for it. And I highly rank this movie. I'm a big fan.
Right. I would say, I disagree with you, Kurt. I say it's a very good film, but I would stick it at the bottom.
I'd put it on Send More Paramedics personally.
What about you?
So I think maybe Choke on Them.
I think Choke on Him is a good spot for it. I think Fulci, man, what he does with like that kind of money shot approach of shooting some of the it's almost like shooting it like porno, where and he does it in a lot of his movies where it's this slow zoom on a really uncomfortable shot that takes a while to develop, and a great gore effect with a little bit of a splurge at the end. It's just like he really puts you there and makes your skin start to crawl. And so I really do appreciate that about Fulci for sure. And this is a good follow-up to Dawn of the Dead, and it even has a little bit of that kind of voodoo sort of element in there as well, which I think is a good throwback to the original zombies of like the white zombie era, back in the 30s and all that. So.
And because I love Wes Craven's Serpent in the Rainbow. I love that film. It's not full on zombies, but it's got that sort of is it Haiti, the country where voodoo is?
It's based on all that somnambulance or whatever that they do with the Haitian voodoo, and awesome. So
right, our last one then is
more Jenks.
I know. Zombieland came out 2009. It's a really good comedy zombie movie. It stars it's a really good cast: Woody Harrelson, Emma Stone, Jesse Eisenberg, and I forget her name, but she's really famous.
Abigail Breslin.
That's the one. Yeah. Yes. It's great. I love this film. I wasn't so keen on the sequel. I don't hate the sequel, but watched it once, never watched it again. But this is great. It's a very straightforward zombie movie. It's not like the ending is. It's not like a massive thing. It's set in I think it's they're on the Ferris wheel. It's quite low. The stakes quite low in a zombie movie, but it's pretty good. Yeah.
I really like this one. This one I go back to all the time. One of the best cameos in cinema history of Bill Murray. It's just so good. It should be too on the nose, but it just works amazingly. Yeah. And I love the whole side story with Woody Harrelson. He's just trying to find Twinkies, and that's it. What's your motivation? I want Twinkies. That's all you need.
Yeah.
And I love Jesse Eisenberg's List to Survive. And it's got one of the best openings ever with obviously For Whom the Bell Tolls. Huge fan of this film. I think it's great. Yeah.
And you've got Amber Heard as a zombie.
Oh, yeah.
My favourite part of the film.
What do you think of this?
Yeah,
Davey?
This one's really fun. It's very comic booky. I mean, especially like you're saying with the opening scene, and anytime the rules pop up, like to me, it feels like you're watching like a graphic novel, like something that was taken from the page with illustrations and put right to the screen. I do like, like what you had said, Jenks, like the stakes aren't crazy big at the end, but this is a movie that we really are just focusing kind of on these four characters and not so much like the world, whereas a lot of zombie movies do that. So I do like that story that's a bit more focused on these people. When Woody Harrelson says, when they find the snowballs or whatever, and he's like, says something about like coconut tastes just fine. And he's like, it's not the taste, it's the texture. I've never felt more connected with a character possibly in my entire life, because I totally understand that feel. This movie is just, how can you not have fun? Like, if you can't have fun watching Zombieland, then like, I do think something's wrong with you, and go talk to somebody, because it's okay. And there's a way out of that depression.
as that message came up.
Well, and maybe give it a rewatch. It's been 15 years. I'm a big rewatcher, and sometimes I find that I appreciate something, down the line.
I might give the second one a rewatch, because I didn't hate
really like
it.
The second
I just
one.
watched it and forgot about it.
I still haven't seen the second one.
I tell you something about this film, right? I don't know whether the zombies in it are actually dead. If you watch it, they're pretty much just infection, because there's no rot in them. And when's the last time you watched it, Kurt?
Last year, maybe.
I don't think they're dead. I think they keep it quite vague, as if to think it's just a virus that's infecting people like 20 days later.
Gotcha.
They probably
they don't show much. There's not much damage. I think the other, like the Romero movies, make an effort to be like, here's a zombie that has a chunk taken out of its head. That kind of thing. Yeah.
Right, guys, where we putting this in?
I'd say Chalk on them.
I would probably go lower, but what do you think?
I think Choke on 'Em's a good spot, because I do enjoy this one. Like, maybe I don't think of it all the time, but like I rewatched it, a month and a half ago, something like that on the channel with a watch party. And I had a really good time revisiting it.
Yeah. Okay. Right. We've got our list. Now we're going to put a top 10 together. So, obviously now I would say the first 6 are in the top 10. Should we, it's going to be hard to put them in order. Should we just put to 10 together? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I don't think you
I would just
necessarily
put
have
the
to
10.
rank them.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would logically then say, would the Send More Paramedics 3 get bumped into the top? And then we got to pick, then it was that 6, and we got to pick one more from these then to be the top 10. Is that fair?
I think so.
Kurt?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So let me just do that now. I'll bump these in there now. I'm going to put them there so it seems a little bit...
Well, I mean, I'm happy to drop Dead Snow from the top 10 because I'm the only guy here that likes it. I know Davey hasn't seen it, but
okay.
You don't have to put Dead Snow there.
No, it's okay. I don't think it matters, Davey, or...
No, I'm cool. Yeah.
You're not going to lose
I need to check it out. Yeah, not going to lose sleep over it.
Have we all, apart from Dead Snow, have we all seen those films? I think we have, haven't we?
Yeah.
Maybe we should keep it a top 10 that we've all seen. Would you agree, Kurt?
Yeah, I honestly don't care.
Okay.
I'm cool
Bye-bye,
doing it.
Dead Snow,
Yeah.
piece of shit. Right. It's funny because I'm in... Right then. So
Is that a Nazi general you have tattooed on your arm?
Not for long, boys, let me tell you.
Right. Okay, so... Obviously, I think we're working from the chalk on them list, yeah, because it's logical. Right. Even though I don't really care about Night of the Living Dead 68, I feel like it deserves a spot because it's The Godfather. That's my 10. That's my what do you. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, it has to go on there. I think.
I really enjoy
top
it.
10.
Yeah.
Stick it in. Oops.
Zombie Flesh Eaters, I think, has to go on there.
Zombie Flesh Eaters. You've seen, we've all seen that film, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, I got some appreciation here, boys, for the Dead Snow tattoo.
Do you know what?
That's the tattoo artist in the chat. He's like, "That was the best $200 I ever made."
I think we have our top 10. Is that 10 there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
There we are. I think we've done it. All agree with that?
100%.
I think that's a solid top 10 right there.
Yeah, I think so. I'd say let's Gun to Med, Return of the Living Dead is number 1. But what's yours? What would your number 1 be?
Brain
Davey?
Dead.
Brain Dead. What about you, Davey?
Day of the Dead. I'm a sucker for that. Yeah, I love Day of the Dead.
I love the fact we've each got a different one. That's cool.
Yeah.
Right then, guys. I think that's it then. So, Davey, do you want to give your channel a plug?
Yeah, guys, if you haven't subbed over there, go check out Davey Deathray. There should be, hopefully there's a link in the description below or something fun like that, and these guys can point you in the right direction.
I promise you.
Yeah, I cover, I do a lot of lives. I cover, horror topics as well. Every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern, American Eastern time, I've got a show called Late Night with the Davey where we bring on a guest. And usually it's somebody in the creative world that I, either kind of interview or we pick a topic to discuss. So even if you can't catch it live, you can watch it the next day. That's kind of my main thing there on the channel. We've got October all the way booked with some amazing guests coming up. So really looking forward to that. And I usually go live a few times a week. And hopefully I'll be doing something again soon with the Twisted Locker Boys here as well.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's always a pleasure to have you on, Davey. And I just want to thank everybody in the chat today. It's been awesome. And I love zombies. I know everyone does a zombie top 10. We've already done about 3 or 4 videos, top 10s of zombies. But I love them. Who doesn't love zombies?
Yeah, it just never gets old talking about zombie films. But yes, thanks again for coming on, Davey. You are welcome back anytime, honestly, mate. Love doing videos with you. It's been an absolute blast, pal, honestly.
Thanks for having me, guys. Absolutely.
Right. If you, we're going to finish the chat, and we're gonna have a little chat off air. Right then, guys. We'll catch you next time. Cheers, guys. Top man.
Take care, y'all.
Excellent.